Are you winning, son?
We do a little trolling.
They have total control over every single thing. They pull the strings.
God save the Queen.
Big Chungus sends his regards.
The first international financial institution, and that is the Knights Templar.
Atlantis was said to be created by the god Poseidon. Poseidon had 10 children that came from 5 sets of male twins.
These are some special stones.
How cool is this though, really?
Stonehenge, a pagan cathedral.
The megalith builders were using Pythagorean geometry to design their circles almost 2,000 years before Pythagoras was born.
If you draw a line connecting Stonehenge with the precise 2 to 3 point, roughly coincident with Chaldee, you get the following proportion.
And the square root of 153 is 12.37, the ratio of the lunar year to the solar year.
Why would the founding fathers in D.C. and city planners in New York City conspire to link their fair cities with this ancient temple?
This summer sets us free!
The same proportions as the station rectangle at Stonehenge. The horseshoe-shaped lawn in the White House backyard looked a lot like the bluestone ring at Stonehenge. Freemasonry was a legacy of the Druids. If we illuminate the DC Pyramid, we are directed to a specific building, the headquarters of Scottish Freemasonry. Scottish Freemasons are really into the number 33. Jesus is said to have died at age 33.
The early Christian symbol, the shape known as the Vesica Pisces, 153 fish, the ratio of the lunar year to the solar year.
Jesus had been a Pythagorean Essene. He would have wanted to come to the source of the Pythagorean tradition, which was most probably in Britain.
The megalith builders were using Pythagorean geometry to design their circles almost 2,000 years before Pythagoras was born. The ancient Greek historians may have known Stonehenge as the great circular temple of Apollo they described in the islands of the Hyperboreans north of France. These Hyperboreans, they said, were skilled astronomers who visited the Greeks in turn what's more and taught philosophy to Pythagoras and his followers.
Part-time druid Ellis suggested I try water divining.
That is bizarre.
The druid also said that when the wires crossed, I'd be directly above a pipe.
30 monks from the Abbey descended into the ancient tunnels that run underneath Glastonbury in search of the Grail. Only 3 came out. The rest, it is said, were claimed by the mysterious forces of the Tor.
Are you winning, Saddam?
I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun.
The whole object of the thing is to predict eclipses.
All the way across the country, the St Michael line marks the Beltane sunrise alignment. Beacons and fires were set up at all the peak points across the country, going from East Anglia all the way down to Cornwall, Glastonbury Tor being one of them.
They both look very similar. Boroughmump or Boroughbridge Mump is like a smaller version of Glastonbury Tor, but they kind of align to each other along the May Day or Beltane sunrise.
I'm certain about Brent Tor's origin, that the Christians took over a place of pre-Christian worship.
The inhabitants of that part of Britain, which is called Balerion, Balerion is Devon and Cornwall, prepare the tin, working very carefully the earth in which it is produced, and carry it off to a certain island off Britain called Ichthys. St Michael's Mount is the chief tin exporting port.
Aberrus the Hyperborean was known as Skywalker.
From Skellig Michael in Ireland through St Michael's Mount in England, Mont Saint-Michel in France, all the way down through St Michael and Apollo sites, churches and temples.
Two Apollo cults, separated by 3,000 miles, but having a central headquarters in Greece.
All the way down through Delos, Dodona and Delphi, the oracle sites in Greece, the centre of the world, the Omphalos.
Aberrus came to Greece and recognized Pythagoras as an incarnation of Apollo. Pythagoras followed the line of Apollo to the sacred Mount Carmel, where in the temple on the peak, he dwelt in solitude.
Meet me at Mount Carmel! All hail!
The glory of fire.
All the way down through St Michael and Apollo sites, churches and temples down to Israel.
Could Jesus have accompanied Joseph of Arimathea to Britain in search of tin?
St Michael's Mount is the chief tin exporting port.
Jesus studied with the Druids.
And they both meet at St Michael's Mount in England.
My Druid is Christ.
Almost like a pagan cross, like a crucifix.
A massive ancient lightning strike left a star-shaped magnetic anomaly in the centre of Callanish standing stones.
The top of Maze How is supported by stepped stones to form an arch, a technique known as corbelling.
Looking at it and making an assumption, you see something like this, you imagine it must be something like a pyramid.
The ground plan of the pyramids was not created in Egypt itself, but hundreds of kilometres away at Thornborough.
The founding ancestor of the Scottish people was a woman named Skada, daughter of an Egyptian pharaoh.
70% of men in Britain
are somehow related to the Egyptian pharaoh King Tutankhamun.
Using forensic reconstruction techniques, we've recreated Tut's face.
Glow in the dark.
Come on over here! Come on over here! Come on!
The pyramid is also the solution of the squaring of the circle. The moon and Earth actually fit this diagram. The pyramid therefore encodes the relative sizes of moon and Earth. When you scale the original diagram by 720, here's what you get: the actual dimensions of the moon and Earth in miles. When we lay this diagram over Stonehenge, we see that it fits. The dimensions of Stonehenge match the canonical numbers, but with a shifted decimal place and in English feet rather than in miles. The 5 and the 6 in the integration of the 5 and 6. 6 divided by 5 times phi squared equals pi. Everything emerges from the Vesica Pisces. It's the alchemical wedding of pentagon and hexagon, macrocosm and microcosm. The rose and the lily. Igni natura renovator integra. Through fire, nature is wholly renewed. There are deep mysteries here, very deep mysteries. The crucifixion is an alchemical allegory. Through fire, nature is wholly renewed.
Abracadabra.
There's no question the CIA is involved here.
The god Essos.
Pas ton serment, Gauvin. À dans un an.
Gawain, take this shield, the pentangle, ancient symbol of the perfect knight.
The mother of all form.
Do I dressed up like a Sheila? Look at that!
What is the secret of the Grail?
You and the land are one.
Just get that through your stinking traitorous heads, and I will stomp your head in if you start a fight with me. We're gonna get you, assholes.
The Celts also told of such a mystical land in the west, an island called Avalon, which means the island of apples. It is on this magical island that the legendary King Arthur now resides as an immortal. But when wounded, he was borne on a boat to the western island.
Gwynap Nudd, King of Annwn, who has come to ask that you come to the top of Glastonbury Tor.
The cauldron of the Chief of Anovan.
The cauldron of rebirth.
Could the pagan-style Chiemsay cauldron have been the Holy Grail for Himmler's Black Camelot?
When Joseph of Arimathea brought the Holy Grail to Glastonbury, he buried it under the Tor at the Chalice Well Spring.
According to the legend, Saint Joseph of Arimathea traveled to the Druid Isle of Avalon where he built the first Christian church. This was later rebuilt as St. Mary's Chapel in the 12th century. The original chapel's ground plan resonates with a double Vesica Pisces.
If we look at the ground plan of Glastonbury Abbey, it happens to be on a line of latitude that if you project due east, it pierces the center of Stonehenge, linking these two structures.
St. Mary's Chapel in Glastonbury is another structure Michelle has found that fits the canonical numbers in English feet, just like Stonehenge.
You can see that chapel, if you look at the underlying geometry of Stonehenge, you'll see that there is concealed in there the seal of Solomon, linking the size of these concentric circles to one another.
The most sacred symbol in the Pythagorean secret worship of number was the tetractys.
Ban Pandolf Ceir, O Gyrwen Awen Deir.
The great secular temple of Apollo they described in the islands of the Hyperboreans.
Imprints of sun, moon and stars in connection with the ceremonies.
If you were to take the Earth, slice it across, and draw from the equator to the Earth's center, and then out to the latitude of Stonehenge, you wouldn't be able to distinguish that angle from the actual 51 degrees 51 minutes, which is the angle of the pyramid. And that's the magic angle that leads to the solution of the squaring of the circle, that leads to the golden section, and so forth.
All things begin and end in Albion's ancient druid rocky shore. But now the starry heavens have fled from the mighty limbs of Albion.
Trailblazer and explorer, going into space, mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty, its incredible detail. Tuning into it, they want to shatter your mind. I want to see you truly live. I want to see you truly be who you are.